Hey, welcome back to another episode of Talkin' Shit ATL with your host Amanda Ellenberg.
And I'm Prodigy Q.
And welcome. If by this point you should have been watching The Flying Ace.
Absolutely. Yes.
It is a 1920s silent film, right before silent films were actually called silent films. Like when it changed to silent films, they were just known as films.
Yeah.
But then some talkies came up, quote unquote, at the end of the 1920s, and then they got their proper name of silent films. So, we are going to be talking a little bit about silent films, mostly about The Flying Ace. We hope you enjoyed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, if you haven't watched those, we did 2 parts, the last 2 episodes. The first part, of course, we did parts 1 and 2 of the movie, and then the second part, we watched the remainder of the movie. So check it out, watch it with us as we comment on it and all the things and catch up. So go watch those if you haven't. Catch up, binge us a little bit, and then come back as we talk about it.
Yeah, it's so good too. You're definitely gonna want to see it, and really we loved it. Want more of it?
Yes,
but
it definitely exceeded your expectations.
So
not knowing what to really think or to expect, but definitely talk about a film being ahead of his time.
Yeah, truly.
Literally, in so many ways.
In so many ways, even just with the aviation part, because people weren't flying planes like that in the 1920s, not at all. So that part was even more so. Like they had just started really flying planes because of World War I.
Yes,
but not like owning planes themselves.
Right.
Of anybody.
Right.
So
both people in this. Flying planes as well, which was great to see, especially again during the time that it was placed in, shot in. Again, one more time, go watch these things. So we don't want to be doing spoiler alerts.
We're gonna have a bunch of spoilers if you don't watch it first. Go back and watch it.
Like before we get too far deep, listen. Please go watch.
Yeah, because we're gonna spoil. It's not. I mean, it'll still be as good if you want to rewatch it or whatever. But it'll be better to just watch it before we get into everything that we're gonna get into now. So. This is, I'm going to be giving out a few different resources. This is from the lovely Wikipedia, which, take with a grain of salt.
Right, for sure.
all of everything you take with a grain of salt nowadays. Just research for yourself. Yes. But from what we found, The Flying Ace is a 1926 black and white silent drama film directed by Richard E. Norman with an all-black cast. This is all African-American cast, but that term itself is kind of outdated as well. Not if it's like true, but it's like oh god, now I feel like I'm just putting my foot back in my mouth. But there are people that are like, hey man, I'm not African American, I am from a different country.
Right.
I'm not from the continent of Africa, so don't call me that, So, okay, oh god. You might want to cut all of this.
We know.
Okay, I just feel like, I want to make sure that I'm speaking, like, with intention and that I'm speaking clearly and I'm not, like, offending anybody or acting like I know everything, because I don't.
Well, listen,
regardless.
We've come a lot far. We've come a lot far because in 1920 it would have been an all Negro cast. So therefore,
that's definitely outdated.
Right, we've come a long way, and whatever you decide.
Whatever you want to say is fine. I'm not saying not to say something. If you are a person of color, you say what you want to say. Don't worry about it. Okay. Anyways, so it was inspired by Bessie Coleman and the 6-reel film. It was made in Jacksonville, Florida by Norman Studios. An all-star cast of professional actors, and it was an all-black cast. And so they, usually during this time, there were a bunch of quote-unquote race films, but Norman Studios produced feature lengths and numerous short quote-unquote race films during the 1920s, but did not do the same as his counterparts of he did not do stereotypical stories. No. Like he did everyday stories that are really cool and really celebrating like the African American Black whatever you call it. Please don't call it what Q just called
right.
it, culture. But if you're a person of color, you do too much. Okay, just know that. I don't control anybody.
Long way. And I will say too, just kind of back just a little bit, back history during this time. Silent films and things was kind of going on, but typically a lot of movies did use a lot of black faces, which is where we get that from kind of today. And why it's looked down upon it because during this time, blackface was very used a lot between white actors portraying black actors.
Because instead of hiring them, they would just paint their faces.
Right, paint their faces, and they did that, of course, to portray black actors, or of course to play very stereotypical roles. Or if we were cast during these films, then typically we played the very stereotypical roles. So that's why a movie like this, and why we wanted to really find a movie like this would be different, because we wanted something that didn't do that, and definitely, had a black cast and kind of told that kind of story. So that's just a little backstory about like the history of what was going on during this time a little bit.
Yeah, and with that, there's also a quote unquote white face that happens, but that happens for either two reasons. There's like some colorism part of it that gets implemented, or just because it was the 1920s and the lighting wasn't that good and the filming wasn't that good. So faces without makeup seemed like they were dirty or darker on camera, so they had to whiten their face using some material, the same material that like clowns and mimes originally used. And they didn't have the makeup that we had nowadays.
And there was a character on there that we questioned whether or not they kind of had this white face, or definitely just made it to look lighter. You can definitely see differences in there. It was
huge. His in particular was the biggest difference. Because crazy. Also his eyes were like all eyeliner around his eyes and stuff. But then his face was, and then they didn't blend it into his neck, and so you could tell immediately, like, the cut off here.
Right, especially his whole arm extended.
Was, But they tried with his hands a little bit, but, like, his arms were not.
Yeah, I guess they thought the long sleeves, but he started fighting and all this stuff. And he...
Fighting.
A taller
that
guy
man couldn't fight anybody for real. I don't know why
he was like, he was not doing that combat.
That fighting scene drove me crazy. But all the fighting scenes, I'm like... Oh my god, could y'all just not shake the camera and act like they were fighting, because they could not fight. These men didn't know how to punch, and I don't even know how to punch, but I know you don't know how to punch.
Yeah, so crazy.
So
who orchestrated this?
I'm like, I feel like I could have done a better job.
Jumped on his back at one time. I know that wasn't in the script.
For real. Oh my god. It was crazy. So there also, what I thought was cool when I looked up, this is just a quick tidbit, this kind of has nothing to do with it, but, so there was the rise of the Nickelodeons, which are small, inexpensive movie theaters in the 1920s, in the early 20th century, that helped popularize silent films, making them accessible to a wider audience. That's kind of where Nickelodeon came from, is, which I know it has its own issues, but that's a different episode. Yeah, so they, and it became a lot easier for, more people to go see, silent films, which was cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then also, just a quick tidbit, I don't want to talk about this man too much, because we got way more to get to, but, Richard Norman owned the studio that we made this film out of. Originally, we wanted to find a different film that had all Black creators, all Black cast, but we were unable to find it on the internet, so, because they have to be remastered, y'all. But we did find this one, and so, Richard Edwin Norman did own the studio that this worked out of, but not that this... I don't want this to come across like we're like, oh my god, good job, you did a great job. Yeah, he did. But, everybody should be like this. So, but at the same time, it was rare for a wealthy white man to be giving back and casting Black actors. So, it's like a ode to, but like also get it together past people and current people, because y'all should all be doing this. Right. So I just want to say that.
But for the time, we
but
give
for the time,
flowers and say,
throw a little flowers, but like
he was a Davy Bowie before Davy Bowie.
Not too many flowers, just a little bit of flowers, just a petal or two.
Looking out for folks.
Because also, like, at the end of the day, you gotta use, regardless of like race or anything, if you have privilege, you have to use your privilege to help others that aren't being seen with the same amount of privilege that you have.
Right, absolutely.
So, and then we all can have the same amount of privilege. And I
do love the fact too that definitely did a movie that definitely showed African Americans definitely in a good light. Versus again, I mean, it really it wasn't actually. I didn't see any like just stereotypical characters at all. People. Again, had class about themselves or, had a certain positions, whether they were law enforcement, and all these things. And especially if you talk about the aviation and pilots. I mean, we're talking about, I think it was like 40 years before blacks could really even fly planes. Yeah. For in real life, you know, that this was depicting us in those positions that we wouldn't, again, almost get for another 50 years.
And that's what's so beautiful about...
I think that was the first female, I think it's like today. Yeah. First female was like 40 years, and the first black pilot was like 25 years. So either way, still ahead, way ahead of itself.
I think that's what's so beautiful about art and film in general, is that, like, we can really showcase things ahead of their time. Like, even The Simpsons has predicted things in the future, you know what I mean? Like, we could say, like, right now, we could have like a gay or trans person as president in a movie and showcase that, to actually open up eyes to make that a future. We could have, a movie about literally everyone having the same opportunity, and what you do with it is up to you, like we can have.
That's where some of these things come from, because sometimes they get a little wearisome to me when we look at these like robot movies and stuff, because sometimes I feel like, okay, yes, we want to do these things in movies that's going to make society better, but there's also some people in the back that's like, let's make that, or what I mean, world domination kind of thing,
right.
All these end of the world movies, like.
But just to comment on him real quick, and then we'll move on. But Norman, he did like love and look up to and appreciate Black culture, Black ambition, encouraged that racial uplift, and celebrated racial pride. And his movies were with all Black actors for Black audiences. And he had a studio where he filmed it, and also had a movie theater that welcomed everyone there as well, which is really good job, Norman. Really great.
In fact, we should actually hear more about you, Norman, actually.
Yeah. There's a lot that I do want to share about Norman. I just don't want everything. We don't have that much time, so I want it to be about more than that. And I mean, it's like, it's hard looking in current day and age, because it's like, well, yeah, everybody should be like that, but at the end of the day, everybody wasn't. Mm-hmm. And without people setting the example that, we can open this up and everybody can be involved, and it's only going to make it better, because these were popular, right. And it's only going to make us stronger. It's only going to make everything better in society. He kind of helped set the way for that with his actors, and not just using Black culture, but not actually appreciating it.
Yes, absolutely. So. And to look back on these films, we alluded to in the last episode, talk about it a bit, like to see, where these things started and kind of, how we progress, in this industry. I do think, of course, we've come strides, but of course we still got a long way to go with a lot of things when it comes, to the industry. But that, of course, being one, and a lot of those things, and a lot of those issues still kind of make their ways today with, still the colorism things, within movies, especially, again, with, especially when it comes again to like minority actors, period, not just, Black at all. I mean, because now we still have so much to do as far as really including a lot of, especially because we have so much diversity now in this country, to where, I don't know how we go with all the DEI stuff and how that may play eventually trickle its way into different avenues. You know, we're going to see.
I really don't understand how we're going backwards.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You know, so it's going to be those things, but I do think that if anything, you know, sometimes these are opportunities for us to, if nothing else, we continue to do these things where, you know, we still make opportunities for those, like you said before, who don't get the voice or what, you know, whatever, and also doing our due diligence at the same time. I think it's also upon us to do more in telling our own stories. You know, if I Latin American, you know, some people in this country, you know, let's tell your own story. You know what I'm saying? Don't wait for Hollywood to do it or anybody else.
Right.
You know? I mean, Asian American, you know what I'm saying? Tell you, you know, that's what I believe. We have the opportunity now, especially with kind of the chains being broken a little bit and kind of the hierarchy of Hollywood a little bit. This might be the best time for us to be able to do that.
And there are a lot more cultures actually starting to get their shows shown. And what y'all need to know, though, for real, please, if you hear and learn anything from this episode, hear this. These studios are, quote unquote, taking a chance on these stories. That's how they're thinking. They're taking a chance. They're thinking they're not going to make money. So the second that these shows come out, even if they're not your cup of tea, even if you put it on mute in the background, play that shit.
That is true.
Play it immediately.
Absolutely.
Because that's what the studios pay attention to. And if you retweet stuff and all that stuff, play it. Because it needs to be how quickly they play it versus when it comes out. And then how often you play it and do you replay it.
Yes.
Those are the things that they look at, whether they're going to keep on telling stories like that.
Absolutely, which is why we see a lot of these remakes, because they know if they take a chance here, they'll actually make some money. But what's happening is a lot of these remakes are now kind of tanking because at the same time, people do want to see new things. But like Amanda said, like we have to go support that. Again, even if we don't...
if you don't like it, like even if it's a drama and you hate dramas, like I'm sure there's time where you're not watching TV, where you can play your TV in the background, put it on mute, and just let it play so that the show itself can get those plays and get that engagement. Right. Especially if it just came out. And especially even more so if they're spending money to advertise that and push it, and it is like a different kind of story that doesn't normally get told, then they're, quote unquote, like this is what they're thinking, not me, but they are thinking we're really taking a chance on it and we're doing everything we can. So if the numbers aren't showing, then people just don't want to hear your stories. That's how they think.
Absolutely.
So we need to like fight back, and we have the power in that. We don't have a lot of power in a lot of things sometimes, but with that we do have the power because they listen to the numbers. They don't care what the numbers say. They just care that the numbers are up and to a certain degree. So we have to make sure that we're the ones doing it.
Absolutely. That's so true. Yes.
Yeah. And talking about it as well.
Yes to that.
Yeah.
Yes to that.
It's so true, y'all. It's so true. So like true. They really they could care less what they're putting out there as long as it's making them money. And so we have to help them make the money on the stories that we want to hear told, whether we want to hear that particular story told or a different version of it. We still have to go after the ones that are first to the line.
That is what they're looking at. And again, that's why we see the same things, the same type of storylines, the same type of casting. Because, you know, again, you're talking about $100 million project. I mean, you want to do it on a story that you don't know if people are going to watch it. You're going to do it on another Marvel movie that you know are going to bring in double, triple what they paid. You know, and they'll do it every time. You know, so like you said, until we want to, hear our stories told, then we have to support our stories being told, the stories that are told.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, also if you got like a grandparent or something, or just somebody in general that like it just sits and watches TV a lot, maybe just like sneakily go put on what you want them to watch and consume, and maybe they'll end up liking it and they'll learn something new. You never know. You never know how people can adapt and change when you give them the knowledge and give them the opportunity.
Yeah, right. You know, and to be able to see, again, different perspectives and different stories, so that again people may want to know more. You know, we have a vast culture here, so to not say we know everything or know everything about everybody, we don't. You know?
No.
We don't know.
And for any individual to say that, they're like, they clearly, the people that say that they know everything, know they least.
Right. Right.
Because there's always so much to learn. There's so many things that I learn daily, you know, just so, and regardless of like subject, I learn so many things in general.
Right,
so, yeah, there's just always more to learn, always room to grow, always
and the more
ways
these stories told,
other
you know,
people.
hopefully that also will help with, you know, actually casting the way that things should be cast. You know, so many times, you know, we get, again, like, you know, again, we talk about, like, you know, Asians and stuff like that who get in movies, and a lot of times they're played by other races and stuff like that. You know, like it's those things really still happen even today.
Yeah.
Where, you know, you know, Bob Marley movie, you know, you had a guy from Britain playing somebody who's probably from Jamaica.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those kind of things, you know? That
Yeah, especially with, like, the Britain thing or any U.S. thing. Like, it's a really fun challenge to, like, work on dialects as an actor. It's super fun. I get it. You still want to have an opportunity to have those roles. But when it's a type of role that the people that actually are from there.
Because didn't was there a big controversy about a movie that just came out? I want to say
Snow White.
No, it was another movie. She was doing kind of like a musical kind of thing. And I want to say it was.
Snow White was definitely one. They actually pushed that movie 2 years because she did so much controversy in her interviews that pissed people off. I don't really understand why a lot of it pissed people off, but it did, where they pushed the movie 2 years to release.
Really?
Yeah. She was singing, so I don't know. It's a live action Snow White singing.
Okay, maybe that might have been it.
With Rachel Ziegler or something.
What she was in?
I don't know, she's been in a lot, but I can't think of it right now.
I was say, I think that might be the same thing, but I didn't know it was like, I was just seeing a lot about it because they were saying like it was maybe a white director and had something to do with like a Hispanic thing. She played in, I want to say she was the girl from who played in
it's not this girl.
No, who played in
oh, you're talking about Evita, aren't you? Wasn't there Evita Peron? There was some kind of controversy with that one. That the Evita one just came out though. That won an Oscar or something. I don't know why it won't show me. It's just showing me the 1996 one.
Okay, yeah, you know, I think so. I think he did win something as well. But yeah, you know, it was like a whole thing about that because it was like, you know, you had like, I think it was like maybe like a white director who, of course, didn't really know a lot about like, you know, Hispanic culture and.
Oh, Evita starred her too, Rachel Zegler.
Oh, really did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I didn't see Evita. I saw the.
I thought it was the girl. What's the girl
show.
who was in the?
Are you talking about
she was
Selena Gomez?
She was Thanos' daughter. I just know but she was from the Galaxy movie.
Oh, I don't know their name. I can't think of it.
That actress. She was in.
I'm searching Thanos' daughter controversy. That's all I got.
What's Thanos' daughter for the movie? What was the movie?
From Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, she's from Guardians of the Galaxy, but maybe she was Thanos' daughter because maybe he snapped her away. And he's like, what did they call she?
I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen it. And
that was the.
I don't know. We got to get back on point.
Talking about, though, you know exactly who.
Yes, okay, but we only got a few more minutes, so we got to get back on it. We cannot be talking about Thanos' daughter. We're supposed to be talking about that flying ace.
I know. It's gonna get to y'all.
Okay, you can't focus on anything else.
There you go, her.
Saldana.
Yeah, she was in a movie recently that had a controversy.
That's what I meant. Not what did I say? Ava Perez or whatever. Amelia Perez.
Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you, y'all.
We got it.
Yes,
yeah,
it was that.
That one did have a lot of controversy.
Yeah.
Can't remember everything that was controversial about it. Y'all let us know because
I do know it had a lot
to
do with the fact that they didn't actually use, actual team. You know what I'm saying? Like, it had a lot to do with that, or and then the director, of course, they didn't have much, of course, that background, all those things.
They did use a good amount of Latinos, but it was also, people were giving crap to Selena Gomez for Spanish in the movie, but that was the whole thing, was that in the movie she didn't have as good, like, Selena can speak better Spanish in person as herself than she was supposed to as the character.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it was,
okay.
Yeah. So, but then also there was a trans actor in it, and people were really mad about that. And there was just a lot. It was coming from all angles.
Okay.
I don't know what else was happening, but it was coming from all angles. I did hear that too, yeah. They were just mad about everything with that movie. Which makes me want to support it even more, because I'm like, if it's like, I want to find out why they're mad, but like, if they're just mad about like the trans and Selena being in character and speaking like less like Spanish than she does naturally in person, then okay, like, I want to watch this movie.
Right.
So I can support it, so we can keep on making movies like that. Unless there's something I don't know. And if there's something I don't know, I'll take it back. But, we said we learn, we grow. We're always down to take what we say back. And I already know that there's 5 million things I could have said differently in this episode. So I'm going to hear it back and hate myself.
That's
so it's
fine.
fine.
I'll let you know right now. Talking shit, ATL, we have grace over here.
Yeah. We try our best, okay?
We operated grace over here. So, we extend.
And y'all know how I feel about people, like,
we extend and receive.
Okay? Yeah. I love people for who they are, and I want everybody to have an equal chance in life, and y'all know that. So if I say some dumb shit and, sound real ignorant, I'm sorry.
It's like the same.
I really am sorry.
Charge it to my mind and not my heart.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no.
Yes.
We'll charge it
to my mind and not my heart. It's a mind thing. I might have messed up mentally, but heartfully.
Oh, okay. I'm with you. Took me a second. My mind really is not charged at all. It needs to be put on the charger right now, because it's not. Oh my god. Okay, so so what are some of the last things? Because we only have a few minutes.
Oh. Okay, yeah.
I got so many things.
What did I talk about?
So
end, like how did.
So, we.
I got so many things that
I know I got so many things, but I'm like, I don't even know where to start to where to end. Well, we'll just go to when did the silent movie era end. So, started way back in the 1800s. The world's first films were ever synced to recorded sound, but technical challenges discouraged filmmakers from. This is from KodakDigitizing.com. Technical challenges discouraged filmmakers from wanting to synchronize sound until convenient devices like the Audion amplifier tube completely changed the way the film was perceived. Films were first created in the late 1870s using motion photography. At the turn of the century, showing films in theaters became a common occurrence in the form of amusement, even though most of the films were less than 20 minutes in length. By 1906, the first full-length silent film, The Story of Kelly Gang, debuted in Australia. So, with today's modern expectations, silent films sound rather boring. No pun intended, that's what they said. But in reality, these theaters were full of noise. See, that's what I'm saying. You want to talk with your friends with it. Okay. Silent films were often accompanied with live narrator, orchestra, sound effects, and specially scored songs. That's so cool! Oh my god. Silent films tended to rely on dramatic facial expressions from actors. That's why the acting wasn't what we expect today. And artistic cinematography from directors. Since all films were silent back then, the term silent film was non-existent, like I said. On the contrary, early sound films were labeled talkies or talking pictures in the 1920s when the average film was still audioless. So, film inventors had been experimenting with sound ever since film came to fruition into the 1800s. But even though the audio could be perfectly synced, the speakers were too inadequate and too quiet for large public theaters. So, it made it really hard to sync in that they wanted to harmonize the two. So Lee DeForest used his Audion invention to record the sound directly to the side of the film strip's perforations using light and magnetic waveform strips. The light's brightness on the strip determined the volume, and the stripped barcodes detected the rhythm and pitch. After further fine-tuning and some light bulb adjustments, the era of silent films was about to come to an end due to the successful sound synchronization. Wow.
That's so dope.
That is so freaking cool.
Yes.
That is so much work. That's what's like, what we have to appreciate about film now is it's so easy, and people put so much countless hours and physical work and mental work into just creating 5 minutes of film and sound, and you had to carry it so preciously. It was like you were carrying that 25K of payroll, but with the film, like, it really was. Mm-hmm. It was so particular and so precious, and so, like, any little thing could have messed it up. Yeah. Like, you think your CDs scratch made a big difference? Imagine an old film, okay?
That's insane.
Yeah.
And I think I actually have that. I think I actually saw clips of, like, old clips of, like, some of the first sound, and and the people that captured the first sound. Very interesting. And what's really interesting, you guys can Google it or YouTube it. The first time that color was introduced around the world on national, because they have it like live national TVs, and look at how all the different countries like brought in the color, and some countries did like great theater, like it was really dope whole thing. While some just literally like pushed the button and it was like, oh, we got color now. But some people really did like whole things. So dope. So definitely check that out. So like YouTube.
Let us know what else you want to hear. And today's a shorter episode. We hope you enjoyed it. If you want to hear more, I have 5,000 notes. And let me know. And
we definitely might do some more history about just kind of film and that kind of thing, tie these things back together and talk more about it.
Yeah, we loved this. Let us know what you want to hear next.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well,
love you. Bye.